What's up, y'all? This is Boxingwave. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. Today I'm going to talk about 50 Cent, how I feel about him as a boxing promoter, okay? 50 Cent got a lot of things going on. He just dropped the album this week. I think it comes out today or sometime this week. And he has a lot of things going on. You know, his guy's worth plenty of money. He's worth like 250 million. Now, before I get started, just want to give you a little background with how I feel about 50 Cent. I was a big 50 Cent fan back in the day, back in even 98 when he was just underground. Back when I used to listen to Cameron, I don't know, you hip hop fans will know, especially ones from New York City. You know, when 50 Cent was just putting out his tapes, he put out his street album, Power of the Dollar. You know, later on, years later, he did the G Unit thing. Big 50 fan. You know, I was listening to him for a long time now. Seeing the growth of him is great, you know, especially because I was a fan when no one was listening to him. So seeing the growth, signing the Shady Records, starting a clothing line, um, getting into these movies, becoming an actor. He has a ton of Netflix movies. You know, he had a few movies, big time movies out there. Um, what else has he done? The energy drink, the vitamin water, the headphones. I think he had headphones. He has done plenty of things. He had his hands on plenty of things. You know, much success for him, and you know he's even still relevant in the music game. So much respect to 50 Cent for what he's done. He showed a lot of dedication. He even put on a lot of rappers, and he's made them successful rappers as well. Lloyd Banks, Tony Yayo, Young Buck, The Game, all of these guys. All right, the dedication he showed. It's funny because as a promoter, I don't think he's doing too well. But when I first heard that he was going to be a promoter, you know, I'm thinking like he's one of the few rappers that actually was an artist that made uh, his own record label and made a lot of artists successful. He's one of the few. Like a lot of the guys that has come and they haven't done the same. Like a lot of artists don't, you know, they make record labels and they just shelve the artists. He's the one of the few, probably best artist that put a lot of other artists on. Um, so you would think as a boxing promoter, you know, when he became it, I thought it was a good thing because even back then, when I was a fan of him back then, I remember he used to say, like, yo, I used to box, you know. We know he used to sell drugs and stuff, but he used to say he used to be, you know, he used to fight, he used to be a boxer, you know, and I remember that, you know, I remember that. That's why I thought it was such a no surprise to me that he would start even considering doing, you know, promoting. Now, as far as a promoter, he picked up Billy Dib, he picked up Andre Durrell. I'm sorry, uh, Yuriokis Gamboa, and James Kirkland. Right, those are the four main ones that I know. Right, so you know it's crazy because you know Andre Durrell. A lot of people talk about Andre Durrell and that how 50 messed up his career. No one really knows the situation with Andre Durrell, and I'm not even going to speak on it because Andre Durrell kind of just disappeared off the face of the planet, and he hasn't even made a public statement on why he's been gone all this time. So we don't know if that's 50's fault. Is that 50's fault, or is that Andre Durrell just not having interest in boxing anymore? You know, last time I see Andre Durrell, he was standing in the corner of his brother fights. His last fight against Saki Obika. That was the first time I seen him in a long time. You know, really good fighter, and I think out of the four fighters, he was probably the most skilled out of all of them. But he just kind of disappeared. Billy Dib, I mean, he's relevant, kind of, but you know, he lost twice to Dennis Grachev. I don't know. I think he has a fight or something coming up, but you know, I don't really know what's going on with him. But he's not that skilled to be a big star anyway. You know. Then you had Gamboa. Gamboa is another fighter that you can't really fully blame 50 because he was having promotional issues before 50 came, and he just hasn't even been the same fighter. He doesn't even perform as well in the ring. I can't blame that on 50. That's all the fighter, you know. So I can't blame that on 50 neither. And then you have James Kirkland, who is got all the most momentum out of anyone. You know, beating Glenn Tapia recently, A lot of people thought he was gonna fight Golovkin. Um, he's kind of relevant, but you think 50 will match him up with somebody quick. Right after that, get another big fight, and it has been no noise with James Kirkland as of lately. So I mean, as a promoter, as a boxing promoter, don't think 50 is gonna be doing too much. He's not really making no noise as a promoter. I know he has some events out in Queens. I almost went to one recently. Actually, got the tickets, but I wasn't able to go that night. But he has like small SMS fights out there in Queens at the casino out there. Well, I haven't made it to any of them, but other than that, as far as being big time, I don't really know what's going on. Like 50 doesn't seem to have the dedication for boxing like he does with music and movies and all the other ventures he had. He doesn't seem like it seemed like it kind of like it was working with Floyd. It was gonna, it was their plan. That didn't work out. So he was like, well, I'm gonna just do my own thing then. I'm gonna just do it. And I guess he was already making money. He was already putting money into that. So I feel like that's the reason why he's doing it. Um, I would like him like if he's not gonna get his fighters fights and he's just gonna do everything else that doesn't involve boxing, he needs to at least release some of these fighters so we can get them back in the ring. I can't complain with Gamboa. At least he's getting a fight with Terrence Crawford, but that just seems like it might be a Terrence Crawford win because Gamboa isn't the same fighter. And what's gonna happen if Gamboa loses his fight? If he loses, what's gonna happen with him? Like, he hasn't really been relevant anyway lately. Uh, I think his whole career has been messed up because of the promotions and promotional issues and stuff. But anyway, I don't know what's gonna happen. I just don't see him being around long. I think it's one of those things he's gonna end up dropping within the next year or so. Yeah, next year or two, because he's not really making any noise with that. Um, and not only that, but Carcino said it best. 50 is going to have to be the face of SMS promotions if he really wants it to take off. He's 20 times more famous than any boxer that he has on his promotions. So he has to be the face of his promotion. He has to go to the fights. He has to do the work. If he wants to hire some executives, then he has to do that on the side and do all the work on the inside. But he has to be the face. He has to show up to the events. He has to be there. Because everyone knows him. Not everyone knows who his fighters are like that. So that's my thoughts. 50 is promoting an album right now. His album just came out this week. He has to tour for that. He has to do a lot. And he's an internationally known artist. He's not going to just be going to um, little spots in New York and clubs doing concerts. No, he's going to be doing big concerts at big places, at different places around the world. Where does he have time to show his face at a boxing event for one of his fighters? He doesn't really have time for that. I mean, I don't know. I'm not telling what I know. I'm not saying how to manage his business or whatever, but just from what I'm seeing, he just doesn't seem dedicated like he does with his music. He made himself blew up, and then he blew up in music, and he makes sure everybody else on his team blew up as well. All right, so and then now look, he has an album in his group, his original group, G Unit. If you guys don't follow hip hop, just try to keep up with me. His artist, G Unit, his group, they all back together. There was a good amount of years that they weren't doing music together. Now they are back together. Now officially, they got an album coming out later this year. Where is he gonna have time for boxing? So that's my thoughts. I mean, as a businessman, 50, of course, he's great. He has more money than probably some of the other the main promoters in boxing. But at the end of the day, as a boxing promoter, doesn't really seem too into it compared to everything else. All right, so that's my thoughts. Let me know what you think.